I discovered why my girlfriend's brother hated me for years when I found hidden photos of her ex who looked just like me. I, 28M, have been with my girlfriend for almost 3 years now. From the very first time I met her family, her brother has treated me with cold disdain. Not outright hostility. Nothing so obvious that I could call him out on it, but a consistent, unmistakable contempt that made every family gathering uncomfortable. At first, I chalked it up to brotherly protectiveness. The guy's 4 years older than her, and they've always been close. I figured he was just being cautious about who his sister brought home. But after 6 months of polite smiles that never reached his eyes and conversations that died the moment I entered a room, I realized this was something deeper. He's like that with everyone, my girlfriend would say whenever I brought it up. Just give him time. But time only seemed to solidify his dislike. 2 years in, and he still wouldn't look me in the eye when we shook hands at Christmas. I tried everything, asking about his job, complimenting his new car, even offering to help him move apartments last summer. Nothing worked. Last month, we moved in together. Her brother didn't show up to help despite promising he would. When I called to check if he was still coming, he sent a text saying something came up at work. My girlfriend seemed disappointed, but not surprised. The incident that changed everything happened 3 days ago. My girlfriend was visiting her parents for the weekend, and I was home alone organizing our storage closet. One of those tasks that always gets pushed back. Behind a stack of old textbooks, I found a shoebox I didn't recognize. I wouldn't have opened it, but it had fallen and spilled some of its contents. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. Most were of my girlfriend from what looked like high school and early college years. But mixed among them were several photos of another guy I didn't recognize, with his arm around her, both of them smiling widely at some beach. The timestamp on the back of one read 7 years ago. I wasn't jealous. Of course she'd had relationships before me. But something about the way these photos were hidden rather than displayed or properly stored with other memories made me uneasy. When I got to the bottom of the box, my blood went cold. There was a photo of the same guy with my girlfriend's brother, both in graduation caps and gowns, arms thrown over each other's shoulders. They looked inseparable. And then another photo, all three of them at what appeared to be a birthday party. The brother, my girlfriend, and this mystery man, who was now kissing her cheek while the brother took the selfie, grinning widely. Best friends. They had been best friends. I carefully returned everything to the box, my mind racing. Why would my girlfriend never mention that her previous boyfriend had been her brother's best friend? And what had happened between them? When she returned Sunday evening, I waited until we'd had dinner before bringing it up. I told her about finding the box while organizing, apologized for inadvertently snooping, and then asked directly, "Who is he?" She went very still, her fork hovering above her plate. Then she set it down, sighed, and said, "My ex. We dated for 2 years in college. And he was your brother's best friend?" She nodded, looking uncomfortable. "They were roommates freshman year. That's how we met. Why didn't you ever tell me?" She shrugged, not meeting my eyes. It didn't seem important. We broke up, we moved on. But something in her voice didn't sound right. "What happened between you two?" She was quiet for so long I thought she might not answer. "Then, he cheated on me. With my roommate. It was messy." I could see the pain in her eyes even now, years later. "I'm sorry," I said, reaching for her hand. She squeezed mine, then continued. "My brother never forgave him. They had been friends since high school, and that friendship was over in one night. My brother lost his best friend, and I lost my boyfriend. And you never told me because? Because it's still a sore subject for everyone. My brother took it harder than I did, in some ways. He trusted him completely. I thought I understood then. So your brother sees me and thinks I'll hurt you the same way." She bit her lip. "Maybe at first, but it's been 3 years. He should be over it by now." The conversation shifted to other topics, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Something still felt off. The next day, I decided to do something I'd never done before. I reached out to her brother directly. I suggested meeting for a drink after work. To my surprise, he agreed. We met at a bar halfway between our places. The awkwardness was palpable as we ordered beers and made small talk about sports and weather. Finally, I cut to the chase. "Look, I know about your old friend," I said. "The one who dated your sister." His face hardened instantly. "She told you. I found some old photos." She filled in the blanks. He took a long pull from his beer. "Then you know he's a piece of shit. I know he cheated on her. And I understand why that would make you protective. But it's been 3 years with me, and I've never given you any reason to think I'd do the same." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You really don't know the whole story, do you?" A chill ran down my spine. "What don't I know?" He studied me for a moment, then pulled out his phone. After scrolling for a bit, he handed it to me. It was open to a social media profile. "That's him," he said. "My former best friend." I stared at the profile picture, and then at the name. And suddenly, everything made horrible sense. My girlfriend's ex and her brother's former best friend shared my last name. And as I scrolled through his photos, I could see why her brother had been giving me death glares for 3 years. We could have been brothers. Holy shit, I whispered. We look alike. Yeah, her brother said grimly. You really fucking do. I handed his phone back, my mind reeling. I had no idea. When she brought you to that first family dinner, I thought she was playing some sick joke, replacing him with his doppelganger. But we're nothing alike personality-wise, I protested. Surely you've seen that by now. He shrugged. Maybe. But every time I look at you, I see the guy who destroyed my sister and ended a 10-year friendship. We sat in silence for a minute, both processing. There's more, he finally said. More. He didn't just cheat on her. He was cheating the entire time they were together. Multiple women. And when she found out about her roommate, it was because she walked in on them in her own bed. On her birthday. I felt sick. Jesus. Yeah. And you know what the worst part was? When I confronted him, he laughed it off. Said my sister was too clingy anyway, and I should chill out. Like betraying the 2 people who trusted him most was nothing. I could see the old anger in his eyes, still burning after all these years. I've never told her this, but I knocked out his front tooth that night, he continued. Cost me a friendship and $3,000 in dental bills after his parents threatened to sue. We ordered another round. The atmosphere between us different now. Not friendly, exactly, but honest. For what it's worth, I said, I would never hurt her like that. I love her, and I'm sorry I remind you of him. He studied me for a long moment. You know, this is the first real conversation we've ever had. Maybe we could have more of them. A hint of a smile. Maybe. When I got home that night, my girlfriend was waiting up, looking anxious. You met my brother? She asked. He texted me. I nodded. We cleared some things up. He told you everything? About how much I look like your ex? Yeah, he showed me. She looked miserable. I should have told you. When I first met you, it wasn't because of how you looked. I swear. I actually didn't notice the resemblance until my brother pointed it out after that first dinner. But you never thought to mention it. How do you bring that up? By the way, you look eerily similar to the guy who broke my heart. I was afraid you'd think I was only with you because you reminded me of him. I sat down beside her on the couch. And is that why you're with me? No, she said fiercely. God, no. You're nothing like him where it counts. That's why I never said anything. Because it doesn't matter. It matters to your brother. And honestly, it matters to me that you kept it secret. She looked down at her hands. I know. I'm sorry. I wanted to forget that part of my past. When I met you, you were so different, so honest and kind. I didn't want that history to taint what we were building. Do you still have feelings for him? I had to ask. No, she said without hesitation. What I felt for him died the moment I saw him with my roommate. What hurt for a long time afterward wasn't losing him. It was the humiliation. The feeling that I'd been played for a fool for 2 years. I nodded, understanding at least some of what she'd been through. But there's something else you should know, she continued, taking a deep breath. After we broke up, I was a mess. I didn't trust anyone. I pushed away friends, avoided dating. It took me years to feel normal again. That's understandable. My brother watched me go through all of it. That's why he's so protective. He saw how destroyed I was, and he blames himself for introducing us in the first place. We talked late into the night, filling in gaps in our understanding of each other that I hadn't even known existed. For the first time, I felt like I was seeing the complete picture of the woman I loved. Not just who she was now, but the experiences that had shaped her. The next day, her brother texted me. Just 3 words. We good now? I texted back. Yeah, we're good. Last night, he invited us both over for dinner next weekend. My girlfriend seemed shocked when I told her. Seriously? He's never invited any of my boyfriends over. Ever. I smiled. Well, I think we understand each other better now. As I've reflected on all this, I've realized something important. Sometimes the things that go unsaid are the ones that have the most power over us. For 3 years, this secret had been silently driving a wedge between people who should have been family. I'm not angry at my girlfriend for not telling me. I understand why she kept it to herself. The past can be painful, and we all have different ways of dealing with that pain. But I am grateful that the truth finally came out. Her brother and I will probably never be best friends. There's too much history, too many ghosts between us. But at least now we can look each other in the eye. And maybe, with time, we can build something genuine. As for those photos in the shoebox, my girlfriend decided to sort through them last night. She kept a few meaningful ones of her and her brother, but the rest, all the ones with her ex, she tore up and tossed in the trash. I don't need these anymore, she said. They're just memories of someone who doesn't matter. I watched her close the empty shoebox, and I could almost see a weight lifting from her shoulders. Sometimes, the past needs to be faced before it can truly be left behind. TLDR, My girlfriend's brother hated me because I'm practically a doppelganger of her ex, who was his former best friend. The ex cheated on her and betrayed their friendship in spectacular fashion. Finding old hidden photos led to confrontations that finally cleared the air after 3 years of tension. Asterisk asterisk.